Oh, right.
We're on.
And
going on?
Massive fucking welcome to probably the guest that I've talked about wanting to get on from as soon as we started the podcast.
I actually went back and had a listen to the third episode, like just to go through and just cringe about what we used to be like.
Yeah.
And you mentioned him in that third episode.
There you go. Much sought after. What are we? Episode 43.
Yeah.
So 43 eps in. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Marc Ryan. One of my favourite comics and one of my favourite human beings, Mr. Marc Ryan. Welcome to Wormholes.
Well, thank you for having me on your show.
It's
look forward to it. I've actually been wanting to come on the show.
Fuck yeah.
But I don't ask for anything.
Well, I think it's a pretty good blend of shit that you like, right? We talk about comedy, we talk about music, we talk about mental health. I think that's pretty much the trifecta of Marc Ryan.
That's sure, yeah, 100%.
Now, obviously, let's start with some jealousy. Myself and Ryan here got to see Ghost Inside.
Oh, don't even bring
Unify.
that up. Oh, I don't even like that kid. That was my son's 13th birthday. I don't even like him that much. I missed out on that.
Did you almost go? Did you think about going when you saw them?
I thought about it, and then I've told him now, if
they
TGI come back, fuck you.
You're like, I don't care if it's your 18th, your wedding, I'm fucking going.
Your funeral, anything, I'm going, all right? I'm going.
His funeral, wouldn't even care.
Now, would they say you're the favourite band? You're wearing the jacket. We talk about TGI.
That has to be my favourite band.
Yeah.
Look, because I grew up, so I'm 40.
Are you?
Yeah.
You don't look 40.
No, you don't look 40 at all.
Man. You look
80,
38 at most.
39 at the moment.
39 at most. I wouldn't say 40.
So I grew up in the early hardcore scene. So I remember watching I Killed the Prom Queen at the Underground.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And there was a band back then, Embodiment 1214. Who were they're probably my favourite band. And another band, Seraph's Cole, who were like a punk rock.
Yeah, okay.
And,
I remember them.
Yeah, and that dude Dan Jones used to sing and drum at the same time, and
no
so
shit.
I've got a heap of.
Always, I have a massive fucking respect for people that can drum and sing at the same time because it's just.
And we talk back when I was 18, we had Day Contempt as well that were just starting, a heap of stuff like that. But now I think Ghost Inside are definitely my
taking
favorite.
a spot.
Definitely my favorite band ever. Even today I went for a run and I was like, all right, after this song I'll switch songs, and then I'll switch, because I was getting a bit bored, and I was like, nah, you can't. You just can't.
You just can't go wrong.
You're like, oh, damn it, there's another one, yes.
So what's your favourite Ghost Inside album then?
Oh, no, I don't like...
Or are you just more get a playlist or go on the artist and just go?
Yeah, just go. Because probably my favourite song is Dear Youth.
Oh, yeah, fucking good song, man.
But even Fallen in the Fury.
Yeah, that's my favourite album, I reckon.
That's close. Hey,
like Lion War and stuff like that.
The breakdown in Lion War is
so
just
good.
one of the most punch everyone around you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, even the latest one, the newest one, the self-titled one, that album's pretty solid.
What was the first single that came out from that? The one that's like, starts out really quiet.
Is it the one where they're out in the
Aftermath? That's it. When I first heard that, man, I was like, they're fucking back, baby.
It gave me the biggest fucking goosebumps of all time.
I remember a mate of mine, and we'll probably talk about him after if we talk about mental health, but a dude I do heaps of mental health stuff with, his brother runs a radio station or runs a night at a radio station in Whyalla. Okay. And so he sent me a message. He was like, hey, turn on your phone, or sent me the link. So listen to this. And so he's like, hey, this song goes out to my brother Marc Ryan. There's a Ghost Inside, and I was like, but when you hear it on the radio, it's so much different.
Yeah.
It was like 11 o'clock, and I kicked the kitchen table, the coffee table. I was like, oh!
Throwing hands, baby.
I was like, oh man, this is so good.
That's fucking awesome.
But everything that song means as well, because that's the thing about the Ghost Inside. Everything they talk about has got a meaning. Hey, it's all.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like I was actually thinking about this in preparation for this episode, because from my conversations with you, you love that that uplifting hardcore, that kind of yelly scream, where it's very clear, you can hear the vocals. It's got that kind of that generic, not generic, but that classic hardcore sound. Yeah. But I kind of feel like we don't have as much of that as there was a period of time when Ghost Inside first came up where there was a lot of that kind of music, and I kind of feel like we've moved away from it a bit. So
yeah, I've noticed that too. Now it's not like the band will pick a mood almost, and then they'll run with that mood for 2 or 3 albums. So you get the dark and eerie, and then you got you don't get the inspirational
hardcore stuff
anymore.
Earthcaller is probably one of the ones that I feel like are still doing that a bit, having that meaningful, that really fucking there's a message behind it, kind of hardcore, especially for us here in Australia. There's probably not as much of it as what there was. And there was a period of time where there was a lot of Ghost Inside-ish type bands to get around. And same with Adelaide. Like that, there was that time around like Double Drag and all of them where they were that sound was fairly distinct in Adelaide as well. So I hope that it'll have a resurgence.
It will, mate. It will.
It'll come full circle again, and we'll get
Everything
that
does.
uplifting.
Everything does.
Everything comes full circle. Like I've even heard there's a bit of a punk scene now.
Is there really?
Yeah, they're starting to come back.
Yeah.
Man.
Okay.
So I'm keen. I said so. I'm keen for checking out some gigs. Like I haven't seen a gig
Yeah.
in. So actually, I had a dream the other night. Have you ever gone back into dreams? Like, have you ever woken up from a dream and gone, "Oh, I need to get
back in there. Yeah. Sometimes I like try and go back to sleep. You never get thrown back in the same dream. Well, I never do.
I have, but sometimes what happens is that you go back into it, but then it ends up changing. Like, so you go back in and you're like, all right, here we go, and then it takes a left turn into fucking
Into
something
chaos.
completely different.
Yeah, well, this probably about a week and a half ago, I had this really weird dream, and I was in a warehouse, and TGI were playing.
Wow.
And then I went to leave, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, you don't
Why are you
leave."
leaving?
And so I prayed. I was like, "God, get me back into that dream." And I went back in there, and I listened to like until my alarm really was going off. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh man!" And that was
And you got back in. You
I
got back into the gig.
I got back in. It was sick.
That's sick, dude.
I still had my stamp, and they
They let me
they
through.
let me back in.
It was so good, man.
Yeah.
What would you say? Have you got a favourite show that you have ever seen?
I reckon the first time I ever saw Ghost Inside at Fowler's.
Oh,
Was
Fowler's,
and
yeah,
Amity
right.
Bill.
Shit. How long ago was that? Amity on the bill.
Oh, that would have been so. Jake Batista from Micah was the lead singer. What was that band? Abandoned Hope.
Oh, yeah.
We just had their drummer on the last
did you?
episode as well.
Yeah. So Jake, I worked with Jake, and he gave me a CD. It was the first Ghost Inside one. Go listen to this; it will change your life.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
Yeah.
It fucking did.
Yeah.
And then they play. I can't remember who they were opening because they weren't. Maybe Amity was the headliner.
Yeah,
Okay.
wow. But it
Yeah,
would have still
right.
been, it would have been like young.
At Fowler's,
around
yeah.
that time.
Fowler's, yeah. And that was
True.
insane.
Yeah, that would have been killer.
That would have been. I've had some of my favourite gig memories are at Fowler's. Like it's just
Yeah,
it
dude,
had
me too,
Such
man.
good sound in there. It was just the layout was awesome. I just love that fucking place, man. They just booked good fucking shows.
Yeah, hey, I've seen Adelaide Dying.
Yep.
Yeah,
At
wow.
Fowler's, that was sick.
Yeah.
August Burns Red.
Yeah,
And that was
fuck
the day,
yeah, dude.
that was the day I knew I was old because they're like, we've got 8 songs left. And I was like, fuck, just 3. Like,
Yeah, just three,
my,
please.
my back's pretty sore.
Yeah.
Like, just 3.
Have you been there since they've No, because you haven't been to a fucking
I haven't
show
been there
in
either,
ages.
dude.
So they've got a bar in the main bit now.
What's it called
Oh, do
now?
they?
So in
Lion
the
Arch.
mosh, yeah. So in
Lion
that
Arch, yeah.
where the mosh was,
Yeah.
they've expanded that.
Yeah.
The stage is in the corner now instead
Yeah.
of being all the way across, and there's a fucking bar at the back of the room. So instead of having to walk all the way out to that one bar, they've now got fucking 2 in there.
Yeah, wow.
Oh,
And
true.
they've built like an outdoor actual smokers area instead of you just standing out in the fucking alleyway. There's actually
wow.
a dedicated area
cool.
that's like
Cool.
So
Yeah,
they've
right.
done some upgrades and stuff to it, but they've still kept it pretty well the fucking same. So
Some shows there were sick though.
oh
Like,
yeah. So they always had good sound and
Yeah.
they would just run well and they just booked fucking
And
awesome
the community
shows.
there was dope as well. I remember
Yeah.
going when I was like, 15, 16, going to shows there like House vs Hurricane and Broken Scarlet and stuff like
Broken
that.
Scarlet,
yeah. And then like someone would get knocked and then there'd be like 5 people ready to lift him back up again.
Yeah.
You know, like it was just that
Well,
kind of community.
I think the fact they did so many all ages, you
Yeah.
think about how many shows they did that were all ages there that, is just, and then again, it was just a good community. You never really heard of any fuckery happening or whatever.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was such a lot of people have a fond memory about that time of being between sort of 14 and 19 and going to all these shows.
Which was, I was older than that. Like I remember seeing Comeback Kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
True.
They were wild.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
bet. Yeah, they're
they were
fucking
cool.
awesome.
But then even like before that, they used to do these. I don't know if they still do them because I'm just not around the scene. But they used to do these community shows, which was like, so they're on at the Irish Club, or they'd be in these weird places in Adelaide, and the bands would just set up on the floor. And so you
Oh,
couldn't
that's
actually
killer.
see the bands. Like you could see them above people's heads, and you'd have to look over.
Yeah.
But it was all run by Straight Edge as well.
Yeah,
And
okay.
you have Day Contempt, Embodiment were there. Bands would come over from interstate.
Yeah.
And these shows were wild, hey, because they just
Yeah, floor shows, bro. Yeah, man.
insane.
You don't get that anymore.
No,
you don't get floor
everyone's
shows.
so protected these
Yeah.
days. They're not doing a show if they've got it. But like, there's that period of time where people just wanted to fucking play. There was none of and obviously, you know, Rona makes it fucking difficult when you've got to have so many restrictions and bullshit anyway. But there was a time where people just wanted to fucking play music, and they were happy to do it in any situation, or no matter for what it was for. They just loved that atmosphere of just fucking playing, and it's unfortunately kind of gone away a bit from that now, which is sad. But again, hopefully, like anything,
hopefully it all rolls back around, and
I think that'll be one of the things, and I think it's already happening. Like, you know, people are just fucking keen now to play shows and do stuff, and you know. I did my first show back after Corona doing comedy was fucking at the ones that you were doing at the Duke. And, you know, it was the first time I felt fucking nervous properly since I started. Like, I don't really get nervous for shows anymore. And but that night, I mean, obviously I got married the day before, so I didn't really work on my set because I got married on 3 days' notice, and so that obviously contributed to my nerves. But yeah, I was just genuinely, and it's just crazy that amount of time off, like 5 months without doing it, and especially on the other side of that 5 months was the most hectic run I've ever done through the Fringe. But yeah, it's, you know, it is like riding a bike, but it isn't, because, you know, that first kind of time. How did you find after having a break as well through Rona with comedy?
My first proper shows back were in Port Lincoln, and so what happened is before Corona, I'd been booked to do a series of shows called Two Blokes and the Black Dog on drought affected communities on Eyre Peninsula, and we had 7 shows lined up. And then the day before I was about to leave, I was getting tattooed, and I got the message, and it was coming. Like, we saw when Corona first hit, we saw the restrictions kick in day after day after day, and I knew it was coming. I just didn't want it.
Yeah, because you were so ready to go in this massive tour, and it was for a good cause too.
It was for a good cause, and it was paid by the government, so the money was the best money I'd ever earned, and you're just kind of like, and then I remember getting tattooed, and the message came through, and they say it's like, it's all done, and I was like, oh fuck, and then they said, no, we've still got the funding, so it's just postponed, it's not cancelled.
Oh, that's good then,
And in September, so after everything kind of leveled off and we got through the worst part of it, they said, the tour's back on, it's in September, and it just worked out that a friend of mine owns a winery in Lincoln, and he was like, do you want to come do some shows with me? And there was me, John Bennett, and Gordon Southern. Yeah, wow. They'd organised to come over, and they're like, you want to come do these shows? And that was the 2 days before I was leaving to go on this tour on Eyre Peninsula. It's like, it works out perfect, right?
Fuck yeah,
dude. A little holiday. Yeah. In between, I got an Airbnb to myself, and I did these shows, and I got up. I was booked for 25 minutes, and I got up, and I got 10 minutes through and went...
Too rusty.
I've forgotten I forgot, and I'm blank. I'm like looking at me just going, do you know jokes? Like, I've got nothing.
Were you just doing crowd work for the rest of it, basically?
I just went into sympathy mode, right?
I
was like, I tried running a 100-kilometre race last year, like this year, and I only got 50 Ks through, and everyone's like, don't feel bad for yourself. I'm like, but I do. Like, I was just going like,
oh no,
what do I do?
Emptying the fucking tank,
Like, I was just like, and then I got home from that gig, and I was like, oh man, I've got to do an hour for 7 nights in a row after this. Like, what am I doing? Yeah. So like, because I don't record my sets, like I just kind of, I've got a basis for what I do and like a framework. All right, and then let's just go from there. And then I'm like, just all day, I'm like trying to find old sets off the internet. Like I'm just trying to find something.
You were digging through the archives, man.
Anything, just going, shit. What do I do? Like, how do you get back to? Because I remember after doing the 30 gigs in 30 days, and you would have found this after Fringe, you're bulletproof.
Oh yeah.
Like I'd do it. Fucking get me up there.
Well, there was the Friday night, which was the night before I got my set properly recorded, and it was all my workmates coming. Yeah. And my boss knocked us off at 4 o'clock. My show didn't start till 9. I was fucking blind. I was out the back of our green room with a fucking sack of water because I started to feel the hangover because I'd stopped drinking.
Hangover before you even went on.
But I drank that much that I was like started to feel the dry mouth before I went on. So I was fucking sculling water. And my boss recorded the show, and it was all right. Like for how drunk I knew I was, but because I'd already done I'd done all of Next Gen, and then I'd done 10 of my 12 shows at this one. It was just fucking, maybe a couple of words didn't get pronounced as beautifully as they should have, but it was still just rock solid. Whereas you compare that to the first show that I did back at that Duke, where I was just, it's you've had 5 months off and you're a bit frazzled. It just doesn't, it's not the same at all, man. It's crazy. No, it takes time to get back into the swing of things, for
definitely
sure.
Muscle. It's definitely it's definitely muscle. Like, and that's the thing. Like when people talk about doing gigs or do everything you can. Like,
just get out there.
Don't be precious about what gets paid or what doesn't get paid. Like if you're serious about doing your art form, just work.
Yeah,
because the more you work, the more you learn. And it's just the way it is.
Yeah, definitely. Because you want time to like be able to practice, and then when you go on that massive gap anywhere, you don't necessarily have to be playing in front of 200-300 people straight away. No. Go in front of 10-15 people, and get the rust off, like you were saying. Well,
they're the ones that are the best anyway. If you can make fucking 10-15 people lose their mind and have a great night, because for me, I find that if I've got a room of 50, 60, 100 people, that's easy because you've only got to make 20 of them laugh for it to sound like people are laughing anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. Whereas when you've got a room of 10, if you can make that not seem like a shit gig, you've done a fucking great job. And I've done that, and you would have done that. You did that on your bloody 30 gigs in 30 days. You had a couple of 7 or 8 nights in that 30-day run, didn't you? And you fucking had a great time.
But it's almost taking it back to again, like what we talk about with the hardcore scene. Like, what are you doing it for? Like, are you doing it? Are you doing it to get paid, or are you doing it because you love
exactly right?
Performing?
You got to love your art. You got to be passionate about it. Otherwise, no money's ever going to be enough, man.
Right.
And your feedback that you got, like some of the stories that you told me, and we will get to that in a second, because I want to kind of go through your comedy career. But the feedback that you were getting on that 30 days, the blokes that were coming up to you and breaking down or asking for a hug or whatever is just, again, that's what you're doing it for. You're not doing it for the fucking payday. You're doing it for someone to leave that show feeling different than what they walked in.
Well, that's the gift is like, and not everyone, like, don't get me wrong, like not everyone does it for that. Like people just want to plainly tell jokes, which is cool. Like but I kind of figure if I've got a voice and people are happy to listen, then we're in and again, like we're in a hidden pandemic now.
Yeah.
When it comes to suicide, and everyone's too scared to talk about suicide. Everyone wants to dance around it and so it's mental health. No, fuck it, call it what it is.
Yeah,
it's
exactly right.
Suicide.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest thing, even with state legislation and stuff, that the state or people can only, journalists can only write certain things because it triggers people. But you know what? Or they can't say certain words, or you can't do this, or you can't mention method. There's a whole lot of stuff that people aren't allowed to mention. Fuck it. People are still taking their life either way. Whether you mention it or not.
Yeah.
Exactly. We talked about this a lot through our, the conspiracies that we talked about with Rona, but we said about one of the craziest things is that there's no discussion, no conversation about the impact that the lockdowns were having on and how many people were either ringing the mental health lines or taking their life or at risk or whatever. None of that.
Never just once, fear cases.
Never once was it brought up that was a byproduct of it, and it was fucking real. The amount of people that we knew that really struggled through that period or that did. I had a mate that took his life in the lockdown of last year. And it was just never mentioned at all. And, it's obviously never talked about fucking ever, but that was a time where it was like, here's a possibility for them to highlight, hey, this is something, but no, it was just all the same.
And they'll still bury the suicide statistics anyway. I guarantee you, just to keep the shift away from a positive, mental health, attitude. They'll keep the focus on cases, virus, this, deaths, this. They won't talk about the mental health impact of the pandemic at all, I don't think. I reckon they might sneak out, X amount of people died, but they're not going to do news segments about it like they have with everything else.
No, that's right.
But here's the thing. So, and I mean, only because I work a bit in this space, and I might be totally wrong, but as far as I understand, so New South Wales have a live count of how if someone takes their life tonight, then tomorrow it gets reported by the coroner as a suicide.
Right.
But South Australia, we're a year behind, so they don't actually let people know how many people have taken their life until the reporting year comes up. So how is that helpful?
Exactly right.
So they get to reporting shit, and again, I don't know when it is. I just know we're kind of a year behind all the stats. So how does that help the people that are trying to work on it?
Yeah,
exactly
Go,
right.
hang on a sec. So we had 10% extra this year. Oh shit, we should have done something.
Yeah. It's like too little, too late.
Too little, too late.
Fucking hell.
Come on, you got to get up to date with. Be serious about it.
Well, I saw something recently where they're like, it came out in the budget, and they're like, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to provide in this year's budget. Look how cool we are being progressive with mental health. We're going to offer 30 days of care after you try and commit suicide. And someone shared it, and they were like, crazy fucking idea.
Yeah.
How about we try and prevent them trying to take their life in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're offering something after someone's already done it. And I believe, I don't know the statistic, but I believe that there's usually a statistic as well that backs up, like once they've already attempted it, if they've attempted it and been unsuccessful, there's usually a correlation between that and another attempt happening later in the future as well. So you need to try and the idea should be try and stop them from ever getting to that fucking point. Not once they've gotten to that point being like, oh, well, you can give us a call now. If you know what I mean? It's just, it seems so dumb to focus on the wrong part of the fucking problem.
It's so far behind. We're so far behind. We're always reactive.
Yeah. I think that's society as well, not just South Australia or Australia in general.
It's society.
It's like that saying. It's like it's not healthcare, it's sick care, because they don't do any preventative measures or management or anything like that. It's just once you're already sick, once you've already got a problem, then let's try and figure out how to solve it. So instead of fucking around with that, why don't we actually just teach people to live healthy, teach people to think healthy, exercise, eat well, get some sun. None of that ever gets fucking mentioned, and that's the massive problem with this shit, man. Honestly.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's all and good luck to the people that put the posts up. I'm not having a crack at anyone, but you see on Facebook, my kettle's always on, the beers, the fridge is always open, the door, you can always after someone takes their life. But whereas it's all reactive.
Exactly right.
And so again, I'm not trying to speak out of school, but I had a meeting with some people, and they were talking about how do we get in front of you need a violent reaction. You need something violent. You need some, and I don't mean violent properly, but something that's so out in front that people start talking about it. And
exactly right. You need a catalyst.
You need a catalyst. There needs to be a violent reaction to it, because so in South Australia we lost 4 people to COVID. Right, 4 lives, which are 4 precious lives, but they shut down a whole state. Yeah. Right, and it was out of all this fear. But the records say that 4 people, maybe 9 people in Australia are going to take their life today.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So the solution shouldn't be more impactful than the problem itself. No. And that's the thing with COVID let's say 10 people in South Australia die. Let's just double it for the sake of it. That's still what you're saying, the suicide if in one day.
In one day in Australia. So it's a massive issue. And there are good people out there trying to solve or trying to work out how do we get in front? How do we start conversations?
Well, we are sorry to cut you off, right. But as much as we're saying what we're saying, I think, and that's more me saying it from a mainstream perspective, there's no attention, but from this conversation that we're having and a general public thing, I think it's the best it's ever been. I think that the conversations that we're having with each other are as progressive and as in front than they've ever been. Yeah. I think it's starting to feel like these are so much easier to have than what they were even 2 years ago, 5 years ago. So I do have a lot of faith in that us as a human race are evolving into an awareness of holy fuck, we got to just check in on people and be relentless with this focus, which makes me happy. I think it's just that last leg of it actually being something that the things that we trust for our fucking news or our budgets or our whatever it is, they're still fucking 10 years in the past with their focus on it, which is what we, at the end of the day, that's who we rely on to fucking help us.
Yeah. We rely on government, we've got to rely on governments to help us, but governments don't want to put anything in, so we've got a state election coming up next year, I think, right? So governments don't want to put anything in place that might look, in case they lose the election, they don't want the next party to take credit for,
It's all fucking politics, man.
It's all politics.
And that's the thing. The mental health movement is a grassroots, community-driven movement at the moment, and we're not getting like the funding and the opportunity that I think we need to from the government because they're too worried about looking like that. Like, oh, we did this job and you didn't do this, and fucking like, who cares, cunt? No one cares.
No one cares.
Just fucking help people out. We don't give a shit what you look like. You're supposed to be serving us, the public.
It's all politics. But even mainstream and. The mainstream is getting heaps better. Like it is, Ben and Liam doing that cool thing. And I had no idea what it was at the start because someone was like, oh, what do you think of this? And I'm like, it's weird. Like, what are they doing? And then when I found out, it's all about being trapped inside your own head or being trapped in a situation. Oh yeah, I get that now. Like, that's cool. But, even the other day when Naomi Osaka pulled out of the French Open, right? I listened to a sports show on the afternoons, and
is that 5AA?
Yeah, 5AA.
Classic.
Right.
Talkback radio.
Talkback radio.
Love it.
Because
on the AM waves.
On the AM 1395, 5AA, and
Love it.
Stephen Rowe. Oh fuck it, call him out. Right, he was on that radio, and they said, Naomi Osaka pulled out because she didn't want to do press interviews afterwards and stuff like that. And she said it's not good for her mental health. And everyone was like, "Oh, she's soft. That's your job." No, her job's to play tennis.
Exactly. Yeah.
Her job's not. But so if she'd said, I pulled a hamstring, no one would have said anything about it. You know what I mean? Because it's mental health and it's some invisible, oh, no, they're just being soft. So he's on the radio talking to thousands of men every night going, oh, she was just soft. So what happens when all those men are in the car listening to that going, oh, maybe it is a little bit soft. Hey, maybe it is. No, it's not a little bit soft.
Yeah.
It's still an injury.
But it's like with 5AA, I've noticed the demographic is like of an older generation. Yeah. And that is the generation that were taught to bury their feelings.
Yeah, of course they were.
So when, Osaka's like, hey, I don't want to fucking deal with press. Yeah. And then you've got old mate, whatever his name is, going, oh yeah, no, that's just soft. It's just perpetuating the same problem.
Of course it is. And this is the problem. And then, with some of the stuff that I do, I get to go out to communities and talk about mental health and share my own lived experience. Those guys are the ones that come up after the show and go, oh, no, do you want to have a quick chat? Like, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
I feel, I have a day. Yeah, I know you do. Like, what do you mean? Of course you do. Like, because you were the ones that got told to hide your feelings. Oh no, just toughen up, champ. Take some coffee.
Yeah.
No,
you're a fucking pussy. You're a fucking whatever. You're a
go
girl.
Go drink it at the pub.
Yeah.
And then go home and beat the missus and the kids.
Exactly right. And that's perpetuating more bad behaviours. Like it's just never-ending cycle.
I was driving in the car with a mate last week, and he goes, he split up with a partner, and he was feeling really fucking down, feeling depressed, feeling suicidal, and he rang his mate and he's like, mate, I need to have a catch up. And then the mate's like, yeah, no worries. And he went and had a beer with his friend and they sat there for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Not once did they fucking talk about his breakup. And he's like, and whilst it helped me at that moment to get away from it, which is good, but then I went home and I hadn't addressed any of the fucking reasons that I wanted to fucking talk to someone.
Yeah.
And that's part of the, and I've been a culprit for that as well. And it's part of, we've talked about this on the podcast, it's a difficult conversation to start. And I had a mate's missus once a couple of years ago reach out to me and say, hey, her other half was struggling, can you come around and have a chat to him? And again, it took me 2 hours into hanging out with him to finally be like, mate, how you going? Because it is such a hard conversation to start. Yeah. But then once we spent another 2 hours talking about everything, and I'm so glad that I found the way to broach it. And, you do, obviously I couldn't have just rocked up and been like, mate, what's your fucking problem? He would have just shut down. So you do have to find it. But again, it still took me 2 hours to find that right time to be like, and I'm someone who, professes to kind of understand and know about this stuff. So if it takes me 2 hours to find that gap, it's a difficult thing to do. But I think that the more that we understand that, it's not just about, like you said, so many blokes just go and drink it away at the fucking pub or get on the drugs or do whatever and don't ever actually vocalize what it is that they're struggling with, whether it's work, relationship, kids, whatever it is. Never fucking talk about it. And then it just slowly eats away at the inside of them until it manifests itself into, now all of a sudden you've got a drug dependency or you've got an alcohol dependency on top of whatever it was that you were internalizing and avoiding, and now you've got to deal with two things,
And this is the thing, you're masking, we're in a society that's just happy to mask
Yep.
everything. Like it is hard, and I speak from personal. It is hard to sit with some big feelings. Like, and I haven't. So probably that snap lockdown, right? So that snap lock. So I've been talking to my therapist about living with big feelings, right? So I live with suicide ideation, which just means every day of my life, there's not a day that doesn't go by I don't think about taking my own life.
Wow.
Like,
you still find that?
Every
now?
day.
Wow.
So even today, even running, like, and I have to put stuff into place to protect myself, right?
Yeah,
And just
yeah.
make sure, but there's not a day that goes by that my imagination, like my mind's eye, doesn't take me to a place where I'm like, oh, just stop, would you? Like I was running, like, so I was running probably 4 weeks ago now. I just started running back again. I'm running down through Anstey's Hill, just jogging. I was doing good, like I had headphones, I was listening to TGI and just in a good place. I'm running, and I look and I see this tree hanging over the top, and I can see that you can walk up the tree and get to it. Straight away, my mind's eye imagines me hanging myself off the tree, and I'm like, oh, would you stop? Like, just stop for a minute. Like, I can't.
That is crazy, dude. Fucking hell.
And that's why, like, I've got this tattoo on my arm, which is like a crossed out.
Shot up to the camera there.
Like, where are we?
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah,
no,
you can just see it down there.
That's about the. I guess the Amity Affliction lyrics where they say about, have you ever felt the breath of the Midnight Reaper?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of what that was.
Yeah,
and then
cool.
I heard, because I'm new to all this kind of stuff, and then I heard that song, Death's Hands or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh, good song.
A quick funny story about that, right?
Yeah.
Do you know when that song first came out, when the album dropped? Me and my mate messaged each other, and we were like, wow, he really hates his dad, because I thought it said, hey, dad, get fucked.
so did I.
I thought it said, hey, dad. I was like, man, I messaged my mate, and I was like, wow, he really hates his dad.
You thought it said dad?
Yeah.
Really?
Hey,
Yeah.
dad, get fucked. That's what I thought it said.
True.
I thought it was as well. I was like,
Really?
man.
He hates his
Or
dad.
Jeff. Like,
Hey, Jeff.
Hey,
Well,
Jeff. He hates the Wiggles.
Is that the same album that has like Father's Son, the song Father's Son as well?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, that
so
that
that's
would probably
why,
also
yeah.
be why you're like, fuck, he really hates his dad. He's fucking
Yep.
got some big beef with his old man.
Yeah.
Like, shit.
But this is the thing. Like I live with this, so I have to put things in place to live with big feelings and try and work out. And the weirdest thing, and I was talking about some of this the other day. Like the weirdest thing is the best days. Like if I have a good morning with the kids and the kids will get up for school, like my wife goes to work and I get up with the kids and the kids have been really good in the morning and everything's run smoothly and life can't get any better. I'm driving home from my work and I'm like, oh, I could end it all now and it'd be all right. Like I'm just like, oh, just stop.
Just
like,
give it a break.
just give it a break.
Yeah.
Like I should be in a good mood now. Like why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But it's just there's just a lot of big feelings that a lot of people have to deal with.
Yeah.
Right. And so I guess and so I've put a couple of things in place through therapy and for anyone out there, you can go get a mental health care plan. Like you go to your GP and you fill in a chart and they ask deep questions because they need to find out. But you can get 23 visits, like 20 free visits to a counsellor. Like they're good. I remember the first time I went to a counsellor, man, I cried for the first hour and he was like, it's all right. Just
Fuck yeah.
just talk. And just cry if you need to. Like, I hate myself. Yeah. All right.
Because half the time getting it off your chest and saying that, oh, I felt like jumping off that tree yesterday or whatever, saying it is what helps you overcome it.
Of course it does. Like it's just talking to people, right? And just get, like you said, just putting it out there and just being like, oh, I'm not all right. I'm not well. Like it's...
So if you don't mind us asking, let's take us back to what you now know, and I know you didn't at the time, but take us back to what it was that you went through as a youngster that has now culminated into what you're dealing with now.
Yeah, so I guess, I say this in my stand-up, the mind is really powerful, right? The mind is out of control powerful, and I've always had this inkling, I've always had a lot of self-hate, and never really liked myself, and then I guess on top of that, I've always had this, imagination of even from, I can't remember. And so I used to run shows called Mosh Against Suicide, like where we had all these hardcore bands playing to raise money for suicide prevention and stuff. And it wasn't until I was working at Coles and some dude put a peg in my ear, right, which was the most innocuous.
Yeah.
I'm like, weird.
Yeah, still weird, but yeah.
Still weird.
Yeah.
But for me to get, and then I had this massive anxiety attack and just everything kind of blew up. And I was like,
right.
fuck, and I lost my shit at work. and then it took me back to a place where I had an uncle who used to handcuff me to a clothesline and torture me for hours at a time with pegs.
Yeah,
He'd put pegs all over
right.
my face and do this horrendous shit and get like his dogs to bark at my feet and I couldn't go anywhere. I was just trapped.
Yeah.
I was like handcuffed and I was probably about 13 or 14 and I had a whole summer of all this shit. Like
That's wild, man.
It's a very weird time to go through that as well. Like you're in that 13, 14 period of your
You're so impressionable, man.
Think about how much you go through as a human being. You're transitioning from that toy loving kid to that whatever it is. I'm starting to feel like a man.
Yeah.
So to go through that kind of thing would have been pretty fucking.
And what was more horrendous now, like going through therapy and talking about it, is I didn't have many friends. Like I've never had many friends, like as friends, friends that actually. And so my uncle was kind of like my best friend. Do you know what I mean? So it was all fun and games. It was all.
Yeah.
And then I remember one day, like again, it clicked with someone. I was like, that's not all right.
Yeah.
Like even it was older. Like that's why I did those 30 gigs in 30 days because someone was like, that's not all right. Like, for that.
Well, he blurred that line of I'm a friend, so we're all having fun and games, like that kind of grooming fucking technique.
To grooming, and you know how horrible it is to feel like you've been groomed. Like that is like to let yourself think that you let someone groom you into doing that. That's a horrible thing. When I did that podcast, the Youngbloods one, I couldn't find my car for 45 minutes in town. Like I literally was so disturbed about the shit that we were talking about. And it gets easier every time we talk because that's what kind of therapy is. And but I guess the reason I tell the story is because I'm not the only one that suffered shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
So I wanted to ask, right? This is something I don't know if we've asked before, but we have talked about it. What techniques and methods do you use now that you have had the therapy and you've had time to reflect about what's happened in the past to help you overcome these thoughts of suicide or the depression or whatever you're dealing with? Do you have any like techniques or?
So I try to run.
Yep.
I try to run, like, and not all the time. It doesn't always work. And you have days where things just don't work out.
Yep.
Part of it is just trying to love yourself. Like really just trying to, that inner sense of just being, it's all right. Like it's all right. Like even when you fuck up.
Yeah.
Like I've had some massive breakdowns over the last year and a half. Like I set up a heap of work through last November and December. And then that snap lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And man, I drank half a bottle of gin and then I walked my ass down to the Clovey, drank 5 pints at the pub there, and I was pissed as a newt. And that was the day, that's the closest I've ever come. And because I live on Kelly Road, so all the buses come past, and I was like, fuck it, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. I'm done. This is it. And then true story, this is no word of lie. True story, I sent a message out, because my favorite, one of my favorite songs off the TGI album is Begin Again, where it talks about like, what happens if you see yourself on the way down and you say, this is not how our story ends.
Yeah.
But I was so drunk and I sent the lyrics off to Jim Riley from TGI, and I was like, dude, it's done. Like, this is how the story ends. And he sent back almost straight away. He's like, nah, man, it's not how the story ends. He goes, go home and go to bed.
That's so good, man.
And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, he didn't have to.
That just gave me fucking goosebumps.
Yeah.
He
That's
didn't have
crazy,
to reply.
man.
Like,
That's
he's got 22,000 followers. Like,
Yeah.
He didn't have to, and he saw my message and he's like, dude, go home and go to bed.
He realised that it was like this was the point or point of impact, or the point where it was like, that would be like any of us. I feel like if someone had messaged you and they were like, I'm done, bro. I don't want to. And you would do the exact same. I feel.
Yeah, 100%. Because you can tell when there's stuff that comes up. You know what I mean? And you're like, nah. And so I went home and went to bed. Do you know what I mean? But then and then I talked to my therapist. He's like, no more drinking. Like, let's not drink anymore. Let's just stay off the drink. And which was good. I stayed off the drink for ages. And then I'd have a couple of beers, but not get drunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then probably the most recent episode was the 15th of April because it was the day before my birthday. And I don't like birthdays because I don't like myself, so I don't.
You don't like celebrating yourself.
Yeah, which is weird because our job is to be stand-ups, is to get. But I like Marc up there. I really enjoy him. Like he's.
Yeah, but it's
cool.
different. Exactly right. You're a different person when you're on stage. Hey, we've also talked about this. He was saying when he's on stage, he's a different person. When I'm on stage performing my music, I'm a different person. So it's like you're almost like separated in a weird way. I'm an autopilot when I go on stage, almost like it's.
Yeah.
And that's right. So Marc on stage, I'm like, yeah, he's cool. He's a cool dude. Like, but Marc off stage has got all these faults and sees all these faults, and so And I got heaps of regret when it comes to being an older brother. I'm the eldest in my family.
Yep.
And I feel like, even today, like I still feel like I've let them down in some ways, and I should have been a better. So putting in, things into place. Like I went for a massive run on the 15th of April. I went for a massive run, 22 Ks.
That's a big run.
Like through Anstey's Hill, and
yeah,
I was like, nah, I'm gonna bury these feelings with some exercise. I'm gonna hurt myself exercising. Did this and did that, but I guess I didn't eat properly. And so when I started to have feelings that were triggering me, I was like, no. And then I started writing a message to my siblings saying, look, I'm sorry that I've let you down. And then I found a bottle of scotch, and then it was just all over.
Yeah,
it was just all, and I literally cried myself to sleep the night before my birthday. I just sobbed. And my kid walked out and said, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh, Dad, no. And I was curled up in a ball. And I still got a broken heart. Like, and I did a show, because I don't like my birthday, I did a show on Kangaroo Island on my birthday.
Yeah.
Which was a good way of getting out of town, just to be away from everything for a little bit.
Yeah, a bit removed, yeah.
And man, like that ferry, when you've drunk a bottle of scotch the night before.
Oh, I don't know how you do it. I get hell bad fucking seasickness, man.
See, I love that fucking boat. My mum hates it. I've been on it probably 45 times because my nan and aunties and that still live over there. So I get excited if we're driving around the cliffs of like towards Cape Jervis and I see the Whitecaps, I'm fucking getting excited because I know we're gonna actually.
You're a freak, bro. You're a fucking freak.
You can't do much on there. The TV's playing fucking Mr. Bean or like tourism adverts.
Yeah, there's tourism adverts.
You got no fucking reception on your phone, so you're like a teenage kid, and so you want some excitement while you're on there. So the boat fucking smashing down on top of waves and mum hating life. That's fucking that's my bread and butter. Whereas when we're all sitting there just like coasting along doing a fucking crossword, I'm like, get me the fuck out of here.
All the alarms going off in the car. And then, that was weird. Like that was, again, I got on that ferry and I walked, and I'm not a rude person. I'm not rude. Like I've got time for everyone, right? But then I ran into some of that scenery before. She says, oh, you're the Beautiful Bogan. I said, yeah. And she was from a country town and different stuff. And then, like there's conversations that you just go, no, like I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
And then she said, oh, I know you like the Aborigines. And I was like,
what?
Oh, geez, this is going nowhere. And then she started talking and I was like, catch ya. Like I'm out.
So what did she say? You like the Aborigines?
Yeah, because she knows my wife's Aboriginal. My wife's Aboriginal. So,
okay.
So, and she goes, I know you like the Aborigines, but this, and then she starts going,
no.
I walked off and I was like, I'm way too hungover to fight with you. And it's not worth, like, fighting with baby boomers is not worth it.
What does she think is going to happen? That she's going to give you some take that you're going to be like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm filing for divorce. What does she honestly think? What information did she possibly think she was going to bring you that was going to change your opinion on that?
That is so cooked.
And she's like, they stole some money off my someone, I can't remember. And I'm like, you fucking stole their land. Like, like, come on.
Fucking like genocide, bro. Like, you do it at $20, Karen.
You stole their land and you're making millions off of it as a farmer. Like, millions. Like, she was the biggest farmer in that area and she was bragging about it. Like, fuck off. I don't have time. And I just literally turned my back and walked off and she was like, wow. I'm like, no.
Yeah, fuck.
Like, I'm too.
It's not like you want her to ever come to your show again anyway, so hopefully she fucking doesn't like you after that.
And this is a weird thing, right? This is baby boomers. My biggest hate in the world is baby boomers, probably. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I can't do them. Like,
fair enough.
I did my show, talked about what happened with my uncle and the repercussions of that, of being, living with, the effects of that, like the suicide ideation, the PTSD, the not feeling worthy, just being on that edge all the time. Like, and then someone said, I like your show, but you just swore way too much.
Like, Jesus.
Oh my God.
That's what you got out of it. Like, that's what you got out of it. Like, out of all the stuff I talked about and trying to spread a message of hope, and if I can get through it, and I'm not that tough a guy, but if I can get through it, if I can get through every day, you can get through every day. Like, because the whole thing's like let's kind of make a pact.
Yeah.
Like, if I can get through it, you can get through it. Let's do it like that.
Well, you did a show. Someone approached you about doing a show for someone who only had 2.5 weeks to live. They found out that they were stopping their cancer treatment, and they asked you to come and do the show for them. And you said that you rocked up and they were crying already.
Straight away they were crying. I was like,
shit.
I was like, it's, and I hope that, because before you do stuff like that, you have to have a game plan, right? And my game plan wasn't to take the mickey out of it, but was just to try and to see how we approach. Because how do you approach? What
do you do? Yeah.
And also honoured to do it. Like, I didn't sleep the night before. Like, I was so honoured to do it. Like, how?
Yeah.
Like, man, like because some of the guys like, how much money do you want for it? I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm not taking money for that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, dude's got 2 weeks left to live.
Yeah. Let's just do it. Like, and then I walked in, I saw him crying, and I'm like,
fuck, how am I going to do this?
And then honestly, I'm like, God, like, how do I get through this?
Yeah.
And then it dawned on me, I'm like, I can't do anything about this. Like, I can't. I want to fix it. Like, I'd love to be able to fix what you've got going on, but I can't. You know what I mean? So let's just, for the next half an hour, let's just laugh.
Yeah.
Let's just put it all aside.
Well, that's all you can do.
But isn't that what comedy and music and sports is about? Is it an outlet where you just put it, you can take your mind off of shit for a little bit. And that's just all what it's about. And since then, that inspired me to do the 30 gigs in 30 days, because we've all got shit in our lives. We've all got traumas that we bury deep down. You know what I mean? So, like, if we can not laugh about the traumas, but if we can laugh about the situation, or not, but just laugh.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, not laugh. No one's laughing.
It's not about the situation itself, but it's about just accepting the fact that it's happening, and trying to find like the bright, because there's a bright side to everything. I know like a lot of people think, oh, well, there's no bright side to murder, but it's just like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be able to not necessarily focus on the pessimism, and sometimes just like try and peel back and like be a bit lighter, because your vibration will get too low, you know what I mean? Like,
and what are you meant to do about it?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have control over a lot of these things,
What are you meant to do about it? Like, you can, I've been getting into stoicism lately.
Yeah.
Like, you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
Like, so what am I meant to do?
And then what you can control is, this is going to sound stupid, the only thing you can control is how much that thing controls you, if that makes sense,
100%.
right? So you've got whilst there's, determinism, and the only free will you have is how much you let something completely fucking hold you and own you.
Yeah.
Or you can allow that to, like you have done, kind of go, how can I use this not to my advantage, but how can I make doing what I love doing also help me along the process? And as you said, as much as these things, and there's lots of different triggers or whatever, but you finding a way, and if I must say so myself, you do a fucking good job of it, finding a way to find that balance between on-stage therapy and doing stand-up as a way to make you be able to deal with it better.
Yeah.
Why fucking not? Why not? And it's something where part of so I did the Fringe last year, and then we went into lockdown. And then I did a couple of shows back where I kind of was like, fuck, man. Like, I wasn't very, I was pretty upset after my show at the Duke. And then we started this podcast, and it gave me a whole new fucking lease on life, because having this conversation that we're having today, and the ones that I've had on this podcast so far, I realized was giving me way more fulfillment than doing my stand-up, because my stand-up is never long enough for me at this stage to be able to have these kind of conversations. And I realize these are the conversations I want to have. So I think that's why I appreciate your comedy so much, is because you've found that balance and do it really well, of being like, hey, I'm not just going to fucking tell you my story for half an hour and it doesn't have any fucking punchlines. I'm going to tell you something that's going to make you feel something, and you're also going to go home having a great time, which is fucking hard to do. And you found a way to do it, and the fact that it's helping you deal with your own shit at the same time is a fucking win-win.
And there are moments this is true. So I was in Streaky Bay, and I was doing this show. I was doing the show and talk about. And as I was talking about what happened with my uncle.
That was about 15 days into your 30-day run as well, wasn't it?
No, this was different. This was the 7 shows I did on Air Peninsula, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, like you were saying earlier on,
Yeah, so I'm doing these. Right. Oh, yeah, so we'll talk about Roxby in a sec. But so I'm doing this show in Streaky Bay, and I've got to the bit where I'm talking about, like, my uncle did this, and he put pegs all over my face, and no word of lie, my face started to hurt where he put the pegs.
Yeah, that sympathetic kind of pain.
And I was like, and I'm like halfway, I'm just going, holy fuck, what's going on? And I'm just staring at the audience, just going, whoa, and my face was literally like throbbing. And I was
no shit.
Man. I was talking to my therapist.
That's real as.
He goes, it's your body your mind just sorting it all out. Like,
yeah.
It's just, and then like Roxy, so that 30 gigs in 30 days, that was hard, man, because there was some shows like there were 3 people, there was no people,
no people.
Well, there was one person rocked up, and I'm like, listen, you can't do a show to one person. Like, it was up and down and everything.
Yeah.
And then I did, on the 15th day, you're right, on the 15th day, I did Roxby Downs. I did 4 shows in 24 hours. So I did 6:30, I did 7:30 at night, 6:30 in the morning, and then 5:30 that night, and then another 7:30 that night as well.
Fucking hell, that's wild.
It was wild. And 3 of them were on the mining camp, and it was just weird. Like, it was just bizarre. And they would charge. They were so drunk.
Yeah, shit.
Because they'd come to the end of their swing, and they're like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "Man, you motherfuckers!"
Rowdy ass fucking.
It was wild, right?
Yeah.
So then, but then on the last show, there was, which was a favour for a friend. Like, it was like helped a friend out because she'd helped me out in the past. I'm doing this show, and then there was these 4 Maori boys at the end of the show, and I was like, and they said, "Hey, bro, can we talk to you after the show?" And I was like, shit. Like, I'm like,
did I say something?
I'm like going, because I'm my worst critic, and I'm like, oh, what did I say wrong? What did I say wrong? And then there were 4 big boys as well, and they're like, oh, can we talk to you at the back of the room? And I was like, oh man. So I got to the back of the room, and the dude's like, you didn't know what you said tonight? And I was like, oh man. And he's like, nah, like, bro, our brother took his life 4 years ago, and today was his 40th birthday. And I was like, what the fuck?
No
and
shit.
He goes, and he goes, we were so down all day today, and then you've come in here and told us jokes and made us feel, you've uplifted us and stuff. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. He goes, but the weirdest thing? I said, what? He goes, he used to wear Raiders gear, and you're wearing the same shirt that he used to wear all the time. I was like, oh man,
wow, that's a trip, man.
Wow, it was insane. Shit. Like, it was totally out of control. Like, I was like, oh man, and I still keep in touch with them now. Like, the world.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I still keep in touch. Like, all the boys. Like, I'm like, hey, how you guys going and stuff, and
checking in.
Where
were these guys from? Sorry.
So they're from Roxby originally,
right.
But now one lives in Mount Barker, and they live in the country and stuff. But they all work on the mines still. But that's the kind of weird. These are the things that people don't realize. That these are conversations that I had all the time. Like, people know you're vulnerable and what do you call it? Genuine.
Yeah.
People open up.
Yeah, 100%.
People will open up.
Yeah.
If they, it's.
Why had someone message me last week and say, hey, can you ring me on your lunch break? And I was like, yeah, no worries. And they were like, I was listening to one of our first mental health episodes.
Yeah.
And they were like, and it just sparked me to, when I was listening to it, I realised that this was the thing that it was making me think about, and I haven't spoken about it, and I just want to tell you and get your thoughts on it, and hopefully you can help me. And I sat on my lunch break way longer than what I was meant to at work, and I just talked to him and gave him some advice on it, and it was crazy to me that it was just him going back listening to one of our 3rd episodes or something. Yeah. When he was listening to it, he realised, fuck, this is actually. This has triggered these thoughts. I must need to fucking talk about them. Yeah. And he's just asked me to ring him and call. So it's like, it's insane to think that something can just happen like that and hopefully help him with whatever it was that he was dealing with. That's what I want to do. You know what I mean? That's all I can possibly ask for out of doing this podcast. And we've talked about it so many times. Yeah. It's just about trying to find a way to foster these conversations, to make them easier for people, to show them that they're not, because, we're 2 fucking dickhead blokes. You're the Beautiful Bogan. You when you listen to, or when you see someone that's like trying to tell you, but it feels really preachy, or it feels
like Dr. X, he's like,
life coaches.
Fuck
off life coaches. Yeah. Come on, guys. Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, that's right. I've never felt less inspired than seeing that. Yeah. Whereas I feel like when you see blokes that feel authentic and feel real talking about this shit, it kind of goes, maybe it's not maybe it's not that weird. Maybe it's not out of place. Maybe it's not taboo. We can just have these.
It's not
kind
something
of conversations.
that just like these fucking life coaches are talking about. It's actually like a community, like we were saying before, a grassroots community that want to talk about it. And that's what we've always wanted, is like really just to essentially do what you do. Is like go out there with laughter and, you know, and talk about mental health and just have a bit of fun. And like if someone's struggling, literally just like put a hand out and be like, yo, just talk about it. Yeah.
And you're not weird. Like that's the whole thing. So mental illness will make you feel alone. Like it makes you feel alone. It makes you feel like you're the only one going through this, right?
And that other people can't possibly understand what I'm going through, which is isolating.
That's right. So I had someone message me the other day going, "Oh, can we talk?" And I was like, "Of course we can, anytime." And they were like, "You know, it's at night time I feel the loneliest, and it's, you know, I'm all right during the day." And I went, "Yeah." And so I was like, "Hey, listen, I'm not trying to cut you off." I said, "But can I just say this?" And he goes, I said, so at night time you feel all right when you're around people. I said, but then at night time, you know, your mind's eye starts playing up and your imagination, and then you start regretting stuff that you've done in the past, and so then you start drinking even though you shouldn't drink, and all of a sudden, you know, that kicks in, and then more loneliness kicks in because you start realizing that I've fucked up here and I've fucked up there, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up in the morning, you're full of regret again. And he's like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "'Cause I fucking live it."
Yeah.
Like you know how many times people have gone, "Oh, you've got a good act." It's not.
No,
like, it's not
telling
an
you
act.
some
Like,
it's genuine. And that's why every time that I've seen you, I can feel that as well.
Yeah, like,
you know, and I'm sure you can too. And anybody that's ever seen you perform, you can feel that it's genuine. You're saying it from a spot where it's not just like a life coach from California going, "You need to be freaking awesome and, you know, drink protein shakes." And, you know, and it's just like, you know,
kale.
Okay, super kale.
Super kale.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to heal. Like,
exactly right.
I'm going to get through it. Like, we're all going to get through it. Like,
but
it's all about healing. Like,
exactly right.
So you mentioned that obviously you've given us a couple of examples of bad days that you've had, but through doing this stuff and obviously through therapy, do you find that that it is more manageable on a day-to-day basis than what it's been at your worst?
If it's such an up and down, and this is the other thing with mental illness. So when I have a good day, then all of a sudden you start questioning, just going, "Oh, is it just
when's
a
it
manic
gonna end?
When's it going to end?
Or is it just a manic day?
Yeah.
Is it just manic? Do you know what I mean? Like, am I just being happy because like it's such a weird minefield, and you know, like a lot of the time it's. And I'm not trying to sound like a life coach. Like, we'll just talk about how much bigger dickheads they are. But literally, it is just exercise as well. Like, it really is just getting some fresh
healthy
air.
habits, man.
Healthy habits, and just getting some fresh air. Like, you don't have to run. You don't have to. Or, you know, at the end of the day, if you just walk 400 meters to the roundabout and back again, like, you just get yourself out of that space. Like, it's just about.
Change of scenery can make a big difference, can't it?
Scenery, but it's just, and you know, especially in winter, like, and just feeling stuff as well, like letting yourself feel. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning now is, like, I'll have a lot of bad days, but if you can sit and feel the bad and work through them and just sit with them, then you feel like a conqueror.
Yeah, exactly
then
right.
you feel better because you're like, "Oh, fucking conquered that today."
Exactly
and
right.
if you can do, I think it's the thing as well. Like, so if you say wake up and something happens and it triggers you and you start to have that kind of episode or you feel it, if you can get on top of that in a couple of hours, then the rest of that day ends up being a fucking great day, because you would know, and I know sometimes that can pop up, and that's a fucking 3-day, 4-day, week-long exercise of like going through those feelings. So if you can get on top of it in even a day, so that kind of endorphin release that you get at the end of that of being like, "Oh fuck, I worked through that." That's huge. Whereas when so exhausting, if you're not able to get on top of it, and it is a week long and there's no sleep and you're still having to do your daily stuff, then the following week or 2 weeks is then so much more difficult, because you've just exhausted yourself mentally and physically trying to combat those feelings that you've mentioned.
It's just 100%, and you feel like a conqueror. You're like, "Oh, I conquered it today." Like, that's what you want. You want to be able to go to, you know, you feel like you're going to bet a winner.
Exactly right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, a healthy habit is like making your bed every morning. Like, everyone talks about it, but it's actually a really healthy thing to do, because if the rest of your day is shit, at least you go home to a made bed.
Like, that's such a cool thing.
And you were saying before, like, people say, "Oh, I don't," you know, people don't feel stuff, and weird situations. Like, I was in a pub in Port Lincoln. I do this in my stand-up now, but this is before I was doing those shows on Air Peninsula. So I was doing this show. I'd done these shows, and I went to Port Lincoln to have a beer. And this dude comes. I see these two guys out of the corner of my eye, And they're just drinking espresso martinis like nothing else. And I'm
punching them down.
Fuck, they've run out of cocaine. Like that's all that's happened here, is they've run out of cocaine. I'm like, oh. And then out of nowhere, this guy comes up to me and goes, what the fuck are you doing here? And I was like,
really?
Yeah. And I was like, what? And I'm not a good fighter. So I was like, what the fuck? He said, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, man, I'm dead. Like, I'm going to get my ass handed to me because I can't fight. And I said, I'm just about to do a mental health tour around Eyre Peninsula and different stuff. And he's like, what do you know about mental health? And I said, well, I'm fucked. And he's, what? I said, I'm fucked. Like, I'm mentally fucked, but I'm open about it. I want to talk about it. And all the other people that know they're not alone. And then he just stops and he goes, you know what? I said, what, mate? He goes, I think I'm fucked. I said, really?
True.
True. And he goes, I think I'm fucked. I said, really? He goes, hey. And he goes out to his brother, hey, Mick. He goes, yeah. He goes, you fucked? And he goes, yeah, I'm fucked as well. I said, well, why don't 3 fuck dudes just have a beer in a bar and just have a yarn for a bit? So I told him my story. We went through everything. I told him my story and we're just having and then at the end of it, he goes, so what do you do if someone's upset at the end of your show? I said, what do you mean? He's, are you a counsellor? I'm like, no way. Like, no way. Like, I'm not a counsellor. He said, what do you do? And he's really agitated.
Yeah.
What do you do at the end of your show? And then it kind of dawned on it as I said this. I said, give dudes a hug. And he's like, and I'm like, fuck. I've just said that I hug men in the front of the Port Lincoln bar at 1:30 in the morning. And he's like booming, so you can see his eyes are like, fucking gay. Like,
did he say that?
Nah, you just tell it in his eyes. He's just
Yeah.
And I just kind of just went, bleh, and I was like, what, would you like a hug? And he just stared at me. Don't tell me. True straight. And he goes, I think I do.
Holy shit. Like, so you've turned a fight into a fucking hug, basically.
And I'm like, well, come give us a hug, big fella. So I gave him a hug and he's like, oh, you're pretty good at hugs. And he's like, Brother Mick, come over and give this guy a hug. So Brother Mick comes over and I give him a hug and he's like, oh. And we all laughed about it and it was weird and it happened. It was a real story.
That's intense, man.
That's
a really weird situation.
It was. And so I jumped in a cab and I was out of there because I'm like, I don't need them to just go,
change their mind all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Found out later on when I was on this tour, I talked to a dude. He goes, oh, you didn't hug these dudes, did you? And I'm not going to say the name on the podcast, but I said, yeah, I did. And he's like, dude, you know the heavy guys in Port Lincoln? I said, what do you mean? He goes, they're like the most feared dudes in Port Lincoln. I was like,
no shit.
Off. And he goes, yeah. He messaged the guy and said, yeah, the older brother broke down on the way home and was like, oh, man, I need to go get some help.
Wow.
Like, that's how. Like, people say, oh, mental health, and they want to talk about mental illness. But it's everywhere. Like, people don't get it. Like, it's in farmers, it's in truck
drivers. And he probably would have been using his problems and that aggression as the outlet almost. And then and you just diffused it and fucking bored him to his core and shattered his universe, mate. Like, you fucking...
And now he's... I don't know. But it's...
Full on.
That's how crazy this conversation is because people don't want to hear about... And it's an old cliche thing, but people don't want to hear about how much you care. You know what I mean? They want to know how much... What's the saying? They don't care about. There was an old saying I used to hear. It was like people say that I care all the time. Show them that you care.
Yeah.
Like, show them that
it's
you
not about
care.
saying it. It's about showing it.
It's about showing that you care.
Your actions are so much louder than words.
Yeah,
man. They really are.
I really do care. Like my whole life mission now. Like someone asked me the other day, what's success to you? What's success look like? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, for me, it's I don't want to be a millionaire. I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to be recognised for my art. He goes, what's success to you? And I was like, let me think about it. And I was like, I just want cunts to stop taking their life.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, just...
Yeah.
That's
stop.
it, yeah.
Like, if we can get in front of that, if we can be brave enough to get in front, and someone's like, oh, that's pretty lofty goal. Well...
Why?
Yeah, exactly right.
Why do we see that as a lofty goal?
Why is it? Like...
Because if we lived in a society that actually, like you were saying, were ahead of it and everybody got a fair opportunity, we wouldn't have people wanting to take their lives.
Right. Yeah.
And it's why we, like, even when we talk about it, we say this so many times, we're like, the reason we go on about our conspiracies and anti-government stuff is because we feel like we're getting a fucking bum deal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we feel like we're getting shafted by these fucking, billionaire corporations, trillionaire corporations, which is the trickle-down effect of that is the fucking depression and the anxiety and they're pumping us full of these fucking hormones in the food and the whatever else. So it all ties into that same thing. That same thing, the reason we talk about whether it's fucking 9/11 or mental health is because we believe that there's a fucking better way to do things. There's a better way to be open and honest with each other. There's a better way to live, be paid for the fucking work we do, all of that shit. There's a fucking better way. And I feel like we're making very slow and methodical progress towards it. But that's the goal, man. I agree with that 100%. I think anything that we can do that contributes to that as an outcome, we're fucking winning.
And it won't change. Like, just be honest about it. It won't change until our generation is in power.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I agree. You know, the baby boomers, your Barnaby Joyces, they don't give a fuck. Like,
I saw a photo of that motherfucker yesterday.
We're pushing his kid away.
Really?
If there's not a more like if someone said to you like, let's pick a villain for this movie, that dude wins every fucking time, dude. Remember Peter Dutton as well?
Peter
Voldemort
Dutton.
himself. He is the ugliest and just scariest looking dude I've ever seen in my life.
Racist cop, like from back in the day.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. That makes it even worse.
He looks like he'd be, in Terminator 2, the one that's made out of fucking...
the steel guy?
Dude. That's
the liquid steel.
That's like when they made the bum version of him and the one that didn't quite work out, that's Peter Dutton for sure.
But that's the thing, like, you're right though, because they want to keep people down. Like,
fucking oath they do. They got their little club, you know. Like,
of course they do.
Yeah.
And without ripping off a movie, but it's true. Like, it's that whole scene in Boys in the Hood where, you know, Furious Styles is, you've seen them, Boys in the Hood, right? When he's talking about like, what is they called? I'm not heaps good with big words. When he's
gentrification?
And he's talking about how, like, is it the blacks that are bringing the guns in? Are they the ones? Why is there a drug? You know, why is there a drugstore in every corner? Like, why is there a liquor stop at every corner?
Yeah.
Why in the northern suburbs are there so many more cash converters than there are in the eastern suburbs?
Exactly.
Eastern suburbs don't have one cash converters.
Yeah.
Doesn't have one.
Yeah, and also I've even noticed it's a food thing as well. You go along Port Rush Road, and there's a couple of Maccas here and there, but you go up Main North Road, and it's
12.
fucking there's
So Manapara, you've got the Manapara one, and then you go around the corner, and you've got one
Curtis
down there.
Road one.
Yeah, Curtis Road. You got Elizabeth. You got the one in Craigmore. That whole section there.
Yep.
Yeah. So exactly right. Like the conspiracies aren't wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they want to keep people. They want to keep people. Why is, you know, when I was OH&S at Coles, why I brought up the food, like, because we had a canteen there and stuff, and they were like, you know, we need to do something about the health of the people. I said, well, make healthy food, subsidise it. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, it cost me $8 for a roll, but for $4.50 I can get a can of Coke and a bowl of chips with gravy.
Yeah,
There's your fucking problem.
that's exactly right. Yeah, health food is so expensive, man.
100%.
It's fucked.
It's like we talked about circling back to the pandemic stuff, and we've said this on fucking 12 episodes, but I'll keep saying it every time. When the fuck one time did you see a news article be like, look, we can put all of these measures in place, but one thing that's going to help you battle coronavirus is getting sun and a good immune system and eating healthy.
Take your vitamin D.
And exercising. That's going to be, if you do get it, that's going to be the thing that battles it. I never heard one fucking person say that.
It's all fear.
It was all stay the fuck inside, put your mask on, don't go near anyone.
Put 2 masks on.
Which are all the things that are going to fucking contribute to if you got a virus, it's going to fucking do more damage.
But this is the thing. And this is, even I've thought about this with parenting as well. Like, do I parent out of love or do I parent out of control? As in, am I trying to control my kids? Right, which I've got no control over. Because at the end of the day, when they get to a certain age, they're going to go, you know what, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or am I parenting out of love? Now, governments are all about control.
Yeah.
Governments are all about control. They don't want people, they don't love. Yeah, anyone says governments love, they don't love people.
No.
Like, they're all about control.
Give me one example of a recent time when the government actually helped you.
What was it? I heard a thing the other day. It was like, they're like, so he's like, I love my kid more than anything in the world, but I lie to that motherfucker every day, right?
Yeah.
He's like, you know, I think he's talking about having a teenager. He's like, I lie to that motherfucker every day. He's like, so can you imagine if I was in control of a population of fucking however many million people?
Yeah.
Well, you think I'm going to fucking tell them the truth about things? I lie to the kid I care about, let alone fucking all these people I don't care about. And I thought that's the perfect way to look at it, is that, you know, we do. We fucking, the battery's died in your toy, mate. Sorry, you can't fucking play it anymore because they've been spamming the button on the back of it 400 times. You know, we do that. So why would they be like completely transparent and open and honest with us?
Yeah, of course. And
exactly.
You're right. Like, you know, we don't have, you know, drugstores or gun shops like they do in America on every corner, but we've got stuff that's just as bad. Like the shit you put into your body.
Like,
Yeah,
but there's a drive-through BWS or a fucking Dan Murphy's or First Choice or there's liquor stores fucking everywhere.
Snap lockdown.
Yeah.
Let's
Only
make
thing
sure the
that's
drive-throughs are open.
Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly right. The only thing that was open when I was on the way home was the Bottle-O.
Yeah.
And Macca's. Macca's in the bottle.
Yeah.
That's just, And look, I mean, I'm glad it fucking was because I enjoyed a couple of cheeky beers in lockdown. But I also saw the absolute fucking problem of that as well. Because that's what everyone, what did you go and do then? You had no other choice but just sit at home and fucking make beers.
That was the thing.
Yeah, that whole like, all right, stay the fuck in your house. You're only allowed to go like not even kilometre radius, whatever it was. Some stupid shit. It's like, what the fuck does it matter if you're walking down the street? Who cares where you are? That's a pure freedom of movement restriction. It's just.
It was weird, hey.
It was fucking weird. But I think we fire some questions at him and wrap it up.
Yeah, because you got a gig tonight as well.
I got to.
All right, let's get these. Let's smash these questions out and we'll let you go. What's always question number one?
Question number one is, what is your favourite song of all time? Now, we know that's a hard one, so we give people a top three. But if you can give us a podium taker.
I think because it's a song that saved my life was Begin Again from the new Ghost Inside.
Yep.
Most
power.
Yeah. Most of them are going to be probably, and then number two would probably be The Brave off the first one.
Yep.
And then probably No Pittsburgh from Amity.
Yeah.
Because it's vulnerable, it's open.
Yeah. It's a good album
the
too.
first time I heard that song, that described everything that I felt.
Yeah.
Like with the cancer in your blood and that kind of stuff. I was like, wow, like they're talking. That's how I feel. So probably those three songs.
Wicked.
Off the top of my head.
They've got some fucking good tunes, Amity.
Yeah,
so
they do.
I've kind of gone off a little bit on their it kind of feels like a little bit played out now with some of their stuff. Like it kind of feels like you're just trying to find new ways to write the exact same lyrics that you've already written. Like you kind of got to. I feel like you need to grow and develop like any. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a Young Bloods and Chasing Ghosts and that,
even the album after that. The one after that too.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
I forgot what it's called now, but the one that has Pittsburgh on it.
Yeah. I get down with Amity. I Hate Hartley is actually one of my favourite songs.
Yeah, I agree. I fucking love that song. I love that song, dude.
So good.
Yeah. All
right, what's the second question? Who's your favourite like comedian or comedic actor of all time?
Yeah.
Oh man, this is so controversial because and I struggle.
Bill Cosby?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because that dude could tell the best story.
Yeah, look, morally he was wrong, but he had some good jokes,
he was wrong.
Like.
But again, this is an argument I've had with my kids. Sometimes you've got to split. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes you've got to split the art
from the artist.
Well, we were just saying before that when we're on stage, we're a completely different person.
Yeah, of course.
So, as much as he's a absolute piece of shit, but
talk on podcasts all the time about saying that when they saw Bill Cosby as a kid, that it was one of the most incredible stand-up performances they ever seen in their life.
That was the first comedy I ever heard was Bill Cosby. It's
right.
Mum and Dad's car and a tape player. Just hear him tell a story and he didn't have to swear.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have to, he was just that good. Like he didn't have, it's not that he has to swear, but he just.
Yeah, it was just wholesome.
Yeah,
that whole separate the art from the artist has to apply as well into the whole, if you look at Delirious now, which is one of my earliest comedy memories, Eddie Murphy, fuck, that's the most is the most homophobic stand up you could possibly listen to, but you have to understand that was the time. That was the time. Yeah. And you can't now fucking pick at Eddie Murphy's house because of what he said in the fucking 80s. It was a representation of what everyone was joking about.
Exactly.
At that time,
that's the shit thing about cancel culture. Even Jim Riley got cancelled from Ghost Inside for that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Someone brought up something that he said, and now he's back.
Yeah.
Playing. You know what I mean? But that there needs to be room for growth.
Exactly right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because who you were 10 years ago when you said something on Twitter for fucking one tweet, you were like, you're not who you are today. You know what I mean? And cancel culture doesn't account for that.
No, it doesn't. If there's some jokes that I would never repeat that I started saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I would never. There's jokes now. I'm like, whoa! If I said that now, man, I'm not doing stand up.
Yeah.
I shared a status recently that was all about saying we as blokes need to stop taking offence to You know, when girls are coming out and speaking about the things that they've suffered from, we're going to stop defending males and listen to what they're fucking saying. And it was all about that. And, you know, a lot of my girlfriends were commenting on there like, thank you so much for saying this, rah, rah. And then an Adelaide comedian messaged me personally and is like, you know, good on you for sharing this, but maybe stop opening your sets by saying, g'day sluts, right? That's what they said. And I was like, I'm not calling the girls in. I'm saying to a whole entire audience of males and females, g'day sluts to open a stand-up thing. Now you're taking that as like, I shouldn't be making this very vocal and loud and proud statement on behalf of women. That's taking away from that, is it? Right? Me saying, that's the problem that I have with the whole thing is like, he honestly thought that I shouldn't be saying these things, but then saying that on stage. And I'm like, and look, I've stopped doing it now just for the fucking sake of it. But that's the problem. Like, we're focusing on the wrong fucking issue.
Of course we are.
You know, what I was talking about is a fucking poignant problem that we should be focusing on. And what he's worried about is that I open a stand-up set to an audience of males and females and say, if I walked up there and said, g'day slut, and pointed to a girl at the front, fucking different ball game, right? Different ball game. But me saying g'day sluts as like a way to just, you know, as you know, that first fucking opening can be everything. And it works. Otherwise, I would have never done it. If the first time I ever said g'day sluts, everyone went silent, I'm not going to do it again. When I walk up there and I go, g'day sluts, and everyone's like, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, he's here to rumble, you know.
Well, it's why I've done it again. So it's just that's that problem. People are focused on the wrong fucking things instead of, you know, the issues that we should be fucking discussing 100%. And talking about.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, question number 3. Let's fire it off. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
To go back to every fucking TGI concert there's ever been. Time travel.
Oh, that's cool. No one said that, eh?
Time travel.
No one said that. Nah.
Time travel in a heartbeat.
That's rad. That's rad. All right, where would you travel to then? Right now.
Unify 2020.
Unify 2020.
Unify. If you astro travel, Unify. I reckon it'd be sick to go back to like some of the band's first shows.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd love to go back, even though I've got a faint memory of I Killed the Prom Queen at the Underground. I reckon I'd love to go back to some of those.
Oh, hell yeah,
kind
dude.
of things.
Well, there's a show I didn't go to that a lot of my friends did, and it's where I don't remember what happened, but flights got cancelled, and it was like a Day to Remember Parkway and a few other bands, and everyone pulled out except Parkway said, nah, fuck it. If you can't stay in the venue, we'll come and play a show.
Yeah.
So the show started and 2 hours or something later, Parkway walk on stage and like people talk about that as being their favourite show of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone would have just had beers and they probably were playing music in I think it was in the Thebby.
It was a Thebby. I was at that show, dude.
Oh, really?
No one played for the first like 2 hours, man. People were just standing there like talking to their friends, drinking for 2 hours, and then at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, Parkway rolled up, boom, fucking played a full hour set, and we were like, fuck, that was worth the wait.
And if that's not a sign of the kind of fucking blokes that they are, when every other band's gone, nah, not going to make it, and they're like, hey, if you cunts hold out, we'll fucking come.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It was a delayed flight. It was a massively delayed flight.
Yeah, wow.
That's crazy.
All right, let's fling another one at you, and then we'll have one more after that, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, cool.
All right, have you ever meditated before?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I meditate.
Yeah.
Part of my meditation, I meditate a bit, but also running as well, like because it's like a rhythm.
Yeah.
Like when you get into a rhythm, like you can really, especially trail running. That's why I like trail running because there's no noises. There's no
stopping
cars.
at a fucking stoplight to cross a road.
Cars.
Like you're just running.
And there's one part at Anstey's Hill that I run down. And it's like it was sweeping. It's probably about a K.
Yeah, right.
It's the best. Be able to just zone out and meditate and
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, we've not had that answer before, so that's fucking cool.
That's really
like
good.
Meditation within the exercise. That's fucking that's cool.
Yeah. And I believe meditate like it's so much. Again, it's almost a thing to protect yourself and try and start your day off good.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, meditation is shown, no matter how you do it, meditation is shown to grow the grey matter in your brain.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just, again, it's that, like you said, you're focusing on yourself. It's that internalizing, like, in the right way.
Yeah.
And actually just, like, you know, peeling back the veil of everything else and just being like, I need to do this for me.
Yeah.
And even, putting that into exercise, that's pretty cool. That's a cool way. So have you ever done it in any other way other than with the exercise?
I've done it other ways as well, like just sitting down and, you know, just... just a straight kind of, I guess, straight kind of meditation. And
Your stock standard.
Stock standard.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Killer. All right, fire the last one at him and let's wrap it up.
All right, the final question that we have for every guest we have on is: did we actually ask him to? Did we ask this one to? Chris last week?
Oh, wait, I don't know, actually, did we?
Fuck, did we drop the ball on the guest question? All right, if we missed one, apologies to Chris. Now, would you rather fight I always fucking have to think about how I say it. Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? So one giant fucking duck or 100 little fucking miniature
Listen to him frame the question. Listen to him frame the question.
Man, that's a good one because I'm not a good fighter. You know what I mean? Like,
just imagine you're a fucking... So
is it one lonely duck? One lonely duck or 100?
No, it's not a lonely duck. One vicious territorial duck.
I'm just going small. I'm just going small because, like, they're terrifying as well. Like,
yes, thank you. Fuck yes. Another victory.
Oh, horses aren't terrifying?
Nah.
No, they're beautiful, majestic.
Apart from when they lose me money.
Then I fucking hate them.
I went real quick. I went to see one of Ross Foster's shows called Equus with another Adelaide comedian. And at the start of the show, Equus is this whole thing about this kid who masturbated over horses and stuff.
Okay, yeah, right, full on.
And then at the start of the play, he digs the eyes out of all these horses or whatever. And after the show, Ross was like, "So, what did you think of the play?" I said, "Yeah, it was kind of full on. Like, he said, but what about the digging out of the eyes of the horses?" I'm like, "Nah, I punt heaps." Like,
I wanted to dig a few fucking eyes out of my time.
Horses' eyes out, champ.
Oh,
don't worry.
fucking
Like, he's like,
That's fucking great.
It's
like you missed the point.
He's like, you've taken it way too literally. Love it.
So you're taking on the little horses. You're going to kick them away.
Horses. Just kick them.
Yeah.
Like, just kick
Thank
them.
you.
You're underestimating horses in general, man.
No,
I think I'm a one size, like one duck kind of guy, one giant duck kind of guy. Because once it's over with, man. Whereas 100 horses, you got to think like they're pretty nimble, man.
See, I
and
think
there's 100 of them.
We talk about. I think he thinks that the horses are going to force some sort of like Megatron like horse structure, but no, it's just going to be little horses. They're going to come over and you're going to be
but
like,
horses are intelligent. They'll gang the fuck up on you, bro.
Get a can of horse spray, bro, and just fucking
Just start kicking.
I'm just gonna fucking a bit of bread and throw it at the duck and distract it, and then just fucking hook it.
That might work.
Just put your headphones in and start moshing. And
Yes, no horse problem at all.
Love it. All right.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. It was a great lot of fun. Obviously, everyone go check out the Beautiful Bogan Marc Ryan on Facebook. You'll get to see.
Have you got a YouTube channel as well?
Nah, it's so under.
Just random videos.
Yeah, it's just shit. Or
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah. So check him out on Instagram. What's your handle on that?
The Beautiful Bogan.
Yeah, same with your Facebook too.
Yeah.
So make sure you guys go and check that out because
Now, obviously,
support
our show this weekend is already going to be gone by the time this airs. But have you got anything else coming up that you want to plug?
Nah, not for. Oh, Laugh Lounge, get along Laugh Lounge. I'm usually at Laugh Lounge. We're trying to get that room up.
Yeah.
When's
Up
this?
and going. Every Saturday night.
Every Saturday?
At Rundle Mall. So
Okay. Cool.
There's a new room in Adelaide. Come and support local arts. Try and get it up.
Yeah.
And running.
We need more options.
It's a really
man.
beautiful space.
Yeah.
We need more options.
Yeah, we're gonna have a metal night there, so keep your eye out on that.
Fuck
We're gonna do dark jokes, so if you're offended, don't come. Don't come. And then afterwards, we're gonna just put on a massive playlist of metal.
Yes.
And just all catch Ubers and get drunk.
That sounds awesome.
Sounds
That
fucking
sounds
perfect
fucking
to me.
Sounds alright, hey.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's line it up.
August.
Or
All right.
September. I don't know. We'll work it out.
Either way.
We'll let you know. We'll have it on the socials.
Yeah, we'll put it on when it comes about.
Thank you so much, my brother. It's been an absolute
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
Take
Thanks
care.
for having me on.
Absolute pleasure.
Legend.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Catch you later.